The pick is in.
The New York Knicks have made a selection in the 2024 NBA draft. I'm Tanitra Batiste, and we're joined by Gavin Shaw from Locked On Knicks to bring the Knicks and break them down, selecting Pacome Dadiet with the number 25 pick, presented by LinkedIn. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnba. So first off, Gavin, so many moves. What do you think about the Knicks making those moves on the board in the first round?
It's typical Knicks. I said it on our pod. They never do what you want. They do what you need in the draft every year. Alex and I spend weeks and weeks and weeks getting excited about very specific prospects, and the Knicks never seem to take them. And you know what? They always seem to do well. So we trust in Walt Perrin at this point, their head of scouting. And this was another example of it. I think tonight's moves, though, mostly had to do with the cap implications of only taking one player. The Knicks are operating in very shallow waters at this point after the Mikal Bridges trade, after giving OG Anunoby $212 million. And the challenge right now is to try to find the room to give Isaiah Hartenstein the maximum amount of money they can, which is $72 million over 4 years, and then get on their hands and knees and pray the big German wants to come back, because that could be the difference between them winning a championship or not. So that was clearly the number one goal coming into tonight, though by all accounts, Pacome Dadiet intends to play in the NBA next year, so they will have his salaries on the book. They will not have a second salary on the book, though, after one trade to move from 24 to 26, and then another to trade out of the first round entirely, picking up a total of 6 second-round picks in the process.
Yeah, and Gavin, yet another Frenchman who's off the board in the first round. So a lot of our fans don't know a lot about these guys. So what are some of the things that you can tell your audience about Dadiet in terms of what he brings to the 2 and maybe even the 3 position for this Knicks team?
Yeah, so he's really exciting. The consensus amongst draft experts is potentially one of the steals of the draft. Certainly not as well known of a name as some of the American college stars, but this was the year of the French. It was the most players ever taken from a non-American country in the first round. With 4, Dadiet is a fantastic shooter already as a teenager, hitting 36% of his threes, playing pro ball, a really talented cutter off the ball, and at 6'8", kind of has a slippery handle, a lot of finesse to his game. Good finisher. I like his ability to just always be angling his body towards the rim on the catch. Has certainly some tools defensively. Going to have to do a lot of refinement on that side. I don't really see any world where, unless Armageddon strikes, which look, it did for the playoffs last year for the Knicks, where he's playing any meaningful minutes for this team. But as sort of a redshirt candidate for a team that all of a sudden is bereft of a lot of future first-round picks, I don't really mind them swinging for the fences. There were some other guys on the board I was more excited about, but that could just be lack of knowledge on my part. And the people who really study this stuff all seem to think it was a good pick. So who am I to disagree with them?
Indeed. And with Dadiet, what do you see as, and it sounds like he has a high ceiling, but maybe what's that first thing that the Knicks will work on so that when they do bring him off the bench, he'll be effective for them?
Sure. I mean, I think it's processing speed right now, and that's not to say that's an area where he's necessarily poor. Like, I think he plays with really good instincts and he's intelligent, but he's going to have to continue to bulk up. He's going to have to continue to read the game faster, and that's true for any teenager coming into the game, even one who's already played some pro ball under his belt. So I think that is ultimately going to be the difference. I think you're going to see a similar plan to him with what the Knicks did with Deuce McBride, where they played him when there was just a multitude of injuries, or there was a blow, and there was an opportunity to get him some time. But for the most part, he was with the Westchester Knicks and had an opportunity over 2 years to really develop his game, get a bunch of reps, make mistakes in kind of a low stakes arena, and then hopefully 3 years down the road, like Deuce, like emerge kind of out of nowhere as a playoff ready contributor. So that would be great if that's Dadiet's path, because the Knicks right now, as I said before, with all those picks out the window, they have to hit on this one that they had.
For more on the Knicks, subscribe to Locked On Knicks on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And for more on Pacome Dadiet, let's get an inside look on his path to the NBA.
Pacome Dadiet is a young 18-year-old prospect from France who I believe has a chance to be one of the sleepers of this year's draft. I am James Barlow from the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. Pacome Dadiet stands at 6'8" and will be able to play small forward in the NBA. His last season for Ulm in Germany, Dadiet averaged 6.6 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 15 minutes per game. His nice shooting touch, emerging ball handling skills, and age makes Pacome Dadiet one of the more intriguing talents in this year's draft. His NBA player comparison is Caleb Martin. there's a chance Dadiet can crack the rotation in his rookie season. For more on Pacome Dadiet and all things NBA draft related, follow and subscribe to the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.
Also, for continuing coverage of the 2024 NBA Draft, subscribe to Locked On NBA on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.